Peter, good morning.
Good morning to a very hot New York City.
You know, how do we get you up here, Peter? Yeah, I remember when I was.
I've been there already.
I know.
As a matter of fact, you made me lunch at your house.
But to say that you've come once, you're never going to come again, that would be horrible.
No, I'm coming. And let me tell you something. I was amazed. I mean, this is a house that's on 200 acres. It must have about 50 rooms. I was amazed at the number of butlers and maids and footmen that you had. I mean, I have never. Trump doesn't even have a house like you have.
No, and the gold, Peter.
The gold driveway.
Oh, it's just something, isn't it? Hey, listen, we have. We should get you up here for. We're doing the man. What are we calling it again? The man expo.
The
Guys Expo.
Guys Expo.
We should get you up. Peter would drive around this classic cab. An old.
Who's classic? You have one?
Wasn't it the 19? Well,
he's saying he's not driving it all the way up to upstate New York.
He drove it to Providence. It was a 1950s cab. You remember that, Peter? It was beautiful.
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, I drove it to Eureka, California.
Yeah,
you were just the first stop.
Yeah, he was all over the country with that thing. Wow. It was gorgeous. Yeah. But we should find a reason to get you up here. People would love to meet the Gabby Cabby.
Well, I'd love to. Anytime I'm able to, of course.
All right, we'll discuss.
I'll be there in a flash.
We'll discuss this. All right, Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York State, has many aides and friends who are shady and under investigation. What do you know about this?
Yeah, well, you know I don't like the Cuomos.
I do.
I mean, in other words, I'm not responsible for giving fair journalism. I don't like, I never liked Mario. I don't like Andrew, and I certainly don't like Chris. So I just felt like being pissy this week on my website. There's nothing more, involved than that.
Okay. I see he's being blamed. A lot of people upset. His numbers are way down because of the transit mess in New York and the stuff going on at Penn Station.
Yeah, isn't it amazing that here we had this wonderful, perfect transit system, and then one day, in about 30 seconds, it fell apart. I mean, the troubles and problems that they're having is not unusual. There are derailments. I mean, Jesus, the thing carries millions of people every day. I happen to think it's probably the most fantastic transportation system on the face of the earth. But they've had a string of misadventures, and of course you got to blame somebody. And I'm certainly not going to object to them blaming the Cuomos, but honestly, it really isn't his fault.
Here's a little tip from the Gabby Cabby. You know, I love bottled water, and I've decided to save money by taking my bottled water bottle and refilling it every day. Why pay for the water when I can refill it every day? And it's healthier, right? Yeah,
well, let me just say this. A couple of weeks ago, I pointed out to you and your nice listeners that what New Yorkers do, the New Yorkers that are here, is that they'll buy a bottle of water, and then they'll keep refilling it from our tap water, which is really terrific. You know, we get wonderful water in New York City. And because of that, people just walk around with one bottle. They don't keep buying new ones. Well, the water industry must have looked at my website, because to counteract that, they're now saying that's a very unhealthy thing to do. Don't keep reusing the bottle over and over again. So there you are. We have a little controversy as to which is which. I honestly don't know, but you see the power of my website. Unbelievable.
I have heard that the average bottle that you refill on a daily basis has more germs and bacteria and everything. It actually is worse. You'd be better off licking your dog's toy than you would drinking out of that bottle.
Remember, that's coming from the people that make the bottles.
That is true, right? Right, the plastic makers.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. The ton of confiscated elephant ivory. What happened here? This is bad, because they chop the ivory off the elephants and then they kill the elephants just for the ivory.
Well, I don't know how you folks up there enforce the laws, but I got to tell you something. I mean, the environmental things and stuff like that. But boy, in New York City, goes after people with a vengeance. In other words, you'll see a lot of ladies here, not at this time of year, of course, wearing fur coats. And nobody's going to walk up and throw paint on them, because, boy, then you'll end up in the slammer.
Right.
So you can wear a fur coat in New York as long as it's not an endangered species. But if it is an endangered species, you can actually go to jail in New York City. And every once in a while, they do send somebody off to jail for wearing a fur coat that's an endangered species. Well, now they got on this kick with this ivory, because all over New York City, people are selling all these little ivory trinkets, which, of course, come from elephants, which, of course, you shouldn't be killing any place, to do what they're doing. So what they're doing in Central Park this week, I don't remember the exact day, but they're going to have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ivory things that the city of New York is going to publicly smash. That this is stuff they've confiscated.
Oh, really? Wow.
So don't wear your ivory necklace to New York this week.
Boy, I mean, and watch out, they'll come take the keys off your piano. And finally, Peter, panhandlers. This is one of the toughest things in New York when we were in the city. My daughter and her friend, they were really struggling with the people that were begging on the streets. And I tried to say a lot of these people are just they're actors. They're making a lot of money doing this.
Exactly, and they deserve the Academy Award. Yeah. New York City has a very good outreach program for people, and as a matter of fact, they constantly advertise, don't give money to people. There's social services, and they really are good social services. So you got two categories. You got the people who are really homeless, and they estimate that's about 5,000. But that 5,000 is, people who probably don't know what planet they're on. And then, of course, you got all the fakers. And wherever you were approached, I guarantee it was in a tourist area. You're walking around in the Bronx, nobody's coming up to you, nobody's coming up to you in Queens. But if you're in Times Square, they do. And that presents a dilemma. What I always do, because deep down inside, believe it or not, I happen to be a nice guy, I'd rather give the money and figure, oh, well, if I got cheated, I got cheated, than really pass a guy by.
Well,
I guess I'm a sucker.
That is interesting. I had this. We took the carriage ride into Central Park, which was kind of cool. It was like a 45-minute ride, and I got out, and all of a sudden, the Dalai Lama came up to me, and he was all dressed up, and he's doing this little bowing to me, and looked like he was praying in his his religion, and then he put a bracelet on me. And put a bracelet on my daughter, and then began bowing to us, and put one on my wife and on my daughter's friend. And he's bowing, and then all of a sudden he hands me a card, and I owed him $20. And I couldn't say no. I'm like, what are you gonna do, right?
Let me tell you a very fast story. I think you know, of course, that my wife comes from Sri Lanka, and she is a practicing Buddhist.
Right.
And my new thing is when one of those guys come up to me, I say, oh, I already have one at home.
All right, Peter, good stuff. It's Gabby.com, best tour in New York City, and who knows, maybe we'll be giving you a tour of upstate soon.
Oh, I'd love to. We're on the way.
Thank you, Peter.